Well, let me answer that in a couple of ways. I mean, the first is that there are some things that we can do that are independent of the discussion around a third crossing. So, you know, the regional mayor's plan with respect to transportation focuses very much on enhancements in public transit. That's part of the solution, and that's part of the solution in every major city around the world, is thinking about transportation quite differently than we have in the past. The second is, I mean, on the Second Narrows Bridge in particular, you know, we in concert with the district of North Vancouver have been championing the idea of trying to address some of the traffic issues going to the Second Narrows Bridge by actually creating some municipal lanes alongside the highway so that people who are trying to transit from North Vancouver from one side to the other are not forced to go onto the highway, which compounds the problem. You know, I yesterday was speaking up at Capilano University. It took me an hour and a half to get there because I could not get there without going on the highway, and the highway was blocked because it was an accident on the other side. So I think there are some things that can be done. We need the cooperation of the province in order to actually make some of those things happen, but we're working on that. With respect to the third crossing, you know, this has been a discussion in North Vancouver for a long time, and I think the last time it was really looked at was the 1990s, where there was a fair bit of work that was done. The fundamental problem that you always run into with the third crossing is where does it actually transit to in Vancouver? And there's always been enormous opposition in Vancouver to the idea that you're going to actually dump a whole bunch more traffic somewhere in the downtown core. So if we were actually going to pursue the idea in a significant way, there would have to be some openness on the part of Vancouver to doing that. And it runs directly counter to the direction that they're going in, which is reducing car traffic through public transit and you know, biking and those kinds of things. So my personal view would be that I think that I have a hard time seeing how you would actually get Vancouver to endorse that kind of idea. The increased density, I think the other way to sort of think about this is there are things that we can do on the public transit side. There are some things we can do on the infrastructure, like the one on the Second Narrows Bridge. But there's also, in the long term, if we actually think about densification, that increasingly we're seeing more density, especially on Lonsdale, is asking the question of TransLink, at what point is there sufficient density to look at some kind of a high-speed link where you actually would get SkyTrain somehow linked up to North Vancouver? There's not enough density now, but we are going through a process where we're seeing additional density, and we should be asking the question, at what point will it make sense for us to actually become much more part of the broader fast transit network?